I was about 15 minutes from finishing the night shift at work when there was a massive crash in one of the windows in the office. So I get up and go check it out. Someone has thrown quite a sizable rock through one of the windows in the front of the building. This is made especially weird because I'm working in the industrial district at 11:30 at night with none of the other businesses open. I go back to my desk, put out a quick call through security to let them know, and decide to head home. As I'm leaving the building, I'm freaking myself about it more and more and end up running to my car, getting in and taking off. I'm almost home and I've started to calm down a bit when I realize that I didn't unlock my car when I got in. It had been unlocked the whole time. I do a quick check with my hand in the back seat for any possible murderers that might be hanging around back there, but there's nothing. Fast forward 30 minutes, I've called a friend of mine who says he's out drinking, so I decide I'm gonna join him. I jump on my bicycle and start running over. I'm doodling along the road on my bike. It's a nice night and I'm in no big rush, just enjoying the moonlight, when I hear someone riding behind me. I straighten up and stick to one side of the road. He passes me really slowly, and when he's right beside me, he shoots me a smile I can only describe as purely insane. I kind of flinch and am taken aback as he rides on. That's when I realize he's riding my mum's bike. Needless to say, I sprint the hell home. When I get there, sure enough, her bike is missing, and one of my car doors is open, the back left one. I was driving and had no need to open that door. A few years back, I rented an apartment from a friend of mine. He had recently bought it and had it completely renovated. He put it up for sale but couldn't find a buyer, so I offered to rent it in the meantime. After moving in, I realized there was something wrong with the lady next door. She was about 45, but looked much older. She would sit up all night, listening to Christian radio shows and talking loudly to someone. It got to the point where I couldn't sleep, so I went over to her place and asked her to keep it down. She opened her door and I got a quick peek. Her walls all had crosses painted on them in all different colors and words like Jesus and angels scribbled everywhere. The windows were black, letting no light in at all. It was damp, yellow-stained 50-year-old carpets, dog shit, and cockroaches everywhere. No dog though. I asked her to please keep it down, and she just looked at me and shut the door. Then she turned up the radio even louder. The next night, I had my girlfriend staying over. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a shadow of a person next to the bed, looking at us sleeping. I thought I was hallucinating, as I usually do in the dark when I'm sleepy, but then the shadow started talking. It's my neighbor, and she's holding something in her hand. She broke in during the night, and who knows how long she stood there. "You should lock your doors at night," she said, and walks out. The next morning, I hear someone making strange noises below my bedroom window. It was my neighbor talking to herself in tongue. She has a plastic bag in her hand with her rotting dead dog inside. It's hot as hell outside, and I can smell death from the bag. At this point, I'm scared shitless. She's obviously very insane. I go upstairs and knock on another person's door and ask what the hell is going on. The guy is as scared as me. Apparently she broke into his apartment one evening as well, while he was watching TV with his kids. He got up off the couch to get a snack, only to find her behind the couch staring at him, holding a power drill. Well, now I know what was in her hand. At this stage, I'm basically shitting myself. I called the cops and they know all about her. Apparently she is a violent schizo, and she hasn't taken her meds, but they can't force her or enter her apartment without her permission because she owns it. The only thing they can do is get her when she's outside. I set up for the next 2 days waiting for her to run out of cigarettes. When I hear her leave at 2 a.m. to go across the road to the 7-Eleven, I call the cops. They have 3 cars and a special van over in less than 2 minutes. They restrain her and throw her in the van and drive off to some institution. And in less than a minute, it's like she was never there. I never saw her again. Still have nightmares about her looking at me sleep though. One day, when I was in elementary school, I think probably 3rd or 4th grade, I was awoken by my mum in a rush. She had overslept, and since she always woke me up in the morning, this meant I too overslept, and now there was just no way I was going to be ready for school early enough to get on the school bus. School started at 8 a.m. and my bus pickup time was 7 a.m., but it was already like 6:40 or something, and I was still in my pajamas and hadn't even had breakfast yet. So Mum decided that today we would just tell the bus driver to go on ahead and she would take me to school, which would give me plenty of time to get ready. So I'm sitting there at the dining room table eating breakfast still in my pajamas, and it's now about 6:50 and we hear the bus pull up about 10 minutes earlier than usual. My mum peeks her head out the door into the foggy morning and waves the bus on. She closes the door and comes back inside, but the bus doesn't pull away. There's a knock at the door, and my mum opens it to find a man in a bus driver uniform. He explains that he's a substitute driver because the regular driver called in sick. He says he knows he's a few minutes early since he wanted to get an early start on a routine since he didn't know it too well. Mum explains to him that she was going to take me to school since we woke up late. He gets visibly upset and says that he can wait a few minutes since he's already running ahead of schedule. My mum insists that no, I won't be ready to go in a few minutes, and tells him to go on ahead. He seemed angry about this, but turned around and got back on the bus and left. I returned to eating my breakfast and still don't have my school clothes on at this point, but at 7 a.m. sharp, another school bus pulls up to my house. Mum thinks this is weird and goes outside to talk to them. She comes back inside and looks terrified, but doesn't really say anything about it, and tells me to finish getting ready for school. At the time I didn't know what happened, but Mum would end up telling me a few years later. When she went to the second bus driver, she found that it was being driven by my regular bus driver, and it was full of the other kids that are usually on the route. The other bus was empty, by the way. Mum asked the driver about the substitute driver and about him calling in sick. I never called in sick, and there is no substitute driver on my route, he says. The driver immediately called dispatch in a panic and told my mum to go inside and call the police, which she did without me knowing, and report this incident. There was absolutely no one doing my driver's route that day. Whoever this was most likely a kidnapper who had targeted me. I never heard anything about it again, not even if someone else had ended up being picked up by this mysterious fake bus driver. But chances are, had I gone on that bus, I would have never made it to school or back home. And if Mum hadn't overslept on that specific day, I would have been on that bus.